Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rock Squad podcast, your destination for the latest rock music news, reviews, and discussion. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Nick Chino. I'm joined by my co-host and bandmate, it's Dave Marini. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Nick. How you doing, buddy? Hello, everybody. Before we get going today, make sure you drop to the bottom of this video. You hit the like, you subscribe to our channel, you write a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you can follow me at Red Coast Records on Instagram. You can follow Nick where? Where can they follow you, Nick?
At The Walking Nick. You can follow us at Rock Squad Pod. I think that's pretty much it.
That's it. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. You know, I was actually just talking to our guitar player, Mr. John Daly, setting up some vocal sessions for us to finish these tunes we're working on. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to have those songs done.
It's been a while. So yeah, we have a new song coming out, we swear. So that's what's going on with me. What about you? What have you been up to? You've been playing some guitar, you've been playing some bass, you've been writing some songs.
You know, I've been writing a lot. I've been working on a B-side that we're gonna start up, doing things like that, pulling up things that I can do on my end while we're still kind of apart from everybody.
Yeah.
And trying to organize lots of organization stuff. We've been, you know, we're getting ready to release a single and stuff in September. So we've been doing a lot of research and a lot of, you know, filling in the blanks, a lot of finding people's emails and all that stuff that you have to do when you put out new music.
Yeah, but it's not just that. Yeah.
Just enjoying the weather.
Oh yeah, I was out for a drive and a walk with the dog earlier. It was great. Nice. Beautiful day out. And yeah, that's the thing with when you're putting out releases, and maybe not everyone realizes it, but you know, if you're in a band and you're putting out a song, we're obviously not on the level of a lot of the bands that we talk about here on the show, but there's a lot of, like you're saying, research involved of us putting together spreadsheets of contacts and spreadsheets of radio people and spreadsheets of blogs and different press that we can email. And so even though we are in a band, it's a very creative thing, a very musical thing. Anybody who works in the music business knows that it can be very data oriented when you're looking at putting spreadsheets together to cover all your bases and make sure that you got all your contacts and all your information together.
Well, it's interesting, you know, we've been putting out music for like 20 years, like 20 years, but like really
more than 20 years now, Dave. We're old.
And we've been pushing it properly for like, you know, 15 or so. And, you know, it's every couple of years, everything gets shuffled up. Like, you know, from being working in radio that, you know, music directors change on a daily basis, and the, you know, the gatekeepers, if you will, they all move around so often that it takes a lot to keep up. If you take a year off, you're behind already, so it takes a lot to get the business stuff back up to where it needs to be. But I think we've you know, we have a pretty good handle on it. We've been we've been putting together lists for years, so now we kind of know what lists we need. Yeah, and you know, it's tough, man. That's the hardest part. Like I wish our musical endeavors were just making music and making art and being creative, but there's a lot of grinding it out to try to get put asses in seats and get songs on radio. So it's just part of the game that you got to play. If you don't have somebody doing it for you, you got to do it yourself, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, yeah, we got new music coming out soon, but let's get to this week's Rock Squad podcast. First, we're going to get into our opening act topics. These are some of the latest topics happening right now in the world of rock music news. And the first opening act topic on this week's Rock Squad podcast is Kurt Cobain's childhood home is opening for tours. His home that he grew up in Aberdeen, Washington, was added to the state's Heritage Register and is being restored completely for being used for private tours. Kurt lived in the house from 1968 to 1984, and there are still some really cool household items in the place that were owned by Kurt Cobain when he lived there as a kid. So, Dave, what are you thinking about this? Do you think it's cool that in Aberdeen, Washington, they'll have a place where you can go and you know, revel in the history of Kurt Cobain?
Yeah, man, I think it's awesome. Like I've been to Motown a bunch of times in Detroit, and they've done a really good job of like keeping Berry Gordy's house above Motown,
right?
Like how it was. I think it's still the same way it was the day they moved Motown to LA. Like they still even have like they still even have like a crib for their kid. Like, so it's very, you know, and I love shit like that. Even when you go to Motown, there's like the candy bar machine where Stevie Wonder used to get his O. Henrys or Baby Ruths, you know? So like, and like the buttons worn out from him pushing the button. So I love shit like that. Obviously this house will be a little bit more subdued than Motown records. But I think if you're a diehard fan, like just like when you go to England and you want to go see the rooftop where the Beatles played or where any of that stuff, like it's yeah, if you're a fan of it, I think it's fantastic, and it's great that they made it like a historical home and that they're going to put some money into it to make it a whole thing. But let's be fair, it's no Graceland. So it's
Yeah.
like it's a little house on a quiet, wet street in near Seattle. So
Yeah,
what it is, I think there's a lot of diehards that would love just to be in that space and to breathe the air in that space.
for sure.
And if I was in Seattle, I'd probably go check it out too. So I'm a fan of
Yeah.
it. I like it already like that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Beatles. This reminded me of when you go to John Lennon's house on Menlove Avenue in Liverpool. I went to the house. I didn't go on the tour inside the house, but we did the whole Beatles thing when we were in Liverpool. We went to John Lennon's house. We didn't go to Paul or Ringo's or George's house, but we went to the church where Paul and George or John met in 1957 or 1958. We went to Penny Lane. We went to Strawberry Fields. And it was really cool. There's so much. Well, Liverpool definitely takes advantage of the fact that we went to the Cavern Club. Liverpool definitely takes advantage of the fact that there's so much history with Beatles involved there. Not just Beatles, but also other Mersey beat music that came out in the early '60s. So it is cool, and there aren't a lot of places like you're saying, Graceland or Motown. There aren't a lot of places that you can make the pilgrimage to these real life historical places where these incredible people grew up. And there really is something special about feeling like you're on that hallowed ground where Kurt Cobain was forming, where he played his first guitar, where he was listening to his first music. And it was the same thing when we went to Liverpool. It was just very, very cool to be in this place that is so steeped in history. When we walked across Abbey Road and all that stuff, it's the same thing, right? So it's very cool. And so if I'm ever in Aberdeen, Washington, this is something that I would want to do. I also think they're opening up a cafe, or they're opening up an exhibit at a cafe nearby that is going to have more information about Kurt Cobain's childhood and his growing up. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah, I think the stuff with the museum, like with the cafe and stuff, I think there was a traveling art exhibit with Kurt Cobain stuff. And I think that's kind of some of the stuff that they're going to put in there. So it'd be super interesting because the exhibit looks really cool. There's the creature on the back of Nevermind, that picture on like the red picture, like that little guy. I think it's like a lizard or something with a backpack on or something weird. That it's like a picture Kurt took, but that thing, whatever it is, I can't remember what it is, but whatever that is, it was on display at a traveling thing with a bunch of guitars, a bunch of clothes, and shit like that. So yeah, man, little memorabilia here and there, a little Hard Rock Cafe vibe. People love seeing shit like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be cool. So if you're ever in Aberdeen, Washington, make sure to stop by the Kurt Cobain house. So let's get to our next opening act topic on this week's Rock Squad podcast. And that Our Lady Peace have announced Spiritual Machines 2. This is the direct sequel album to their 2000 record, which was called Spiritual Machines. This new album is produced by Dave Sitek of TV on the Radio, who's worked with a lot of different people over the years. He produced one of the PDI records with Liam Gallagher. And this new record is going to continue to explore the themes of futurist author Ray Kurzweil. The band released a song already from the record called Stop Making Stupid People Famous, which is a great title for a song, which also features Pussy Riot on there as well. So the whole album is going to be released this fall. There's no specific release date. Dave, I was really excited to actually hear this news because we were, I think, growing up relatively big Our Lady Peace fans. I think we've dropped off over the last years or so. I wasn't really into a lot of the stuff they put out over the last maybe 10 years or so. But I'm excited for this because Spiritual Machines was a great record. I feel like that was the end of an era for Our Lady Peace because that was the last record that featured Mike Turner on a guitar before they changed things up. I enjoyed some of the records after that, but they definitely moved into more of a pop rock direction than some of the alternative rock they were doing on the first four records. This song, even though I like the title of Stop Making Stupid People Famous, this is very different for Our Lady Peace. I don't know if you saw the video, but Rain Maida is like dancing in the video. It's a cool video. The song actually grew a little bit on me by the time it was over, but very different for Our Lady Peace. I'm always saying that you should always let bands explore whatever musical direction is best for them, and you shouldn't have any expectations for them to sound like they used to, and that's still
Sure.
a lady piece. But I feel like even though they are doing new things, I'm not necessarily 100% on board, and I'm hoping that the rest of the record is a little bit more what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear what they have cooking. I know they have a great production team involved. Matty Green, I think, is either mixing or engineering on it, and he was responsible for the last Royal Blood release, and it definitely has a tone, definitely a different vibe than most records going on right now. So it'll be interesting to see how Our Lady Peace embraces that, and if it's for the best or for the worst. We're gonna have to wait and hear the record, but I, like you, feel the same way that this is a record. The first Spiritual Machines kind of capped off an era of music for us, and they've continued to make music since Spiritual Machines. But of course, Mike left the band, and then 2 records later, Jeremy left the band. So now it's pretty much just Duncan and Rain, who are the 2 guys in that band that get things
And Steve.
done. And Steve, yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's after Mike though.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's, it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea, the concept of making songs around a writer that has some futuristic views and stuff like that about society. But yeah, like, I think they needed to freshen things up a little bit in that band. I think, like you said, the last 10 years have been a little, this is what we do, this is our band, and it didn't really push an envelope, didn't really spark anything under me. I think they kind of were just catering to old fans. And as a fan of their old stuff, it's nice to see that they're trying to do something different and trying to make a go of a new direction, which is cool with me.
Yeah, same here. I'm excited to listen to the record. The single wasn't great for me. I have to give it a couple more listens, but
yeah,
I'm excited to hear the record. I'm excited that they're doing a sequel to a record that we love. Not a lot of bands do that or continue a continuing concept, 20 years later after the release of an original record. So I'm really excited for that, and obviously it'll feature the sounds of Ray Kurzweil, doing his in between the songs,
sure.
Machines, and I was actually reading that a lot of the predictions that he made on that record, and I guess in his literature as well at the time, a lot of it's come true. Lot of the technological advances and a lot of the different things that have happened over the last 20 years have come true. So we'll see if this one can continue to predict the future.
Yeah, we'll see 20 years from now what happens.
We'll see what happens. So we'll get to our next opening act topic on this week's Rock Squad podcast, and that is Third Eye Blind. I've released a new song called Bag of Bones. This is their first new song since the release of their record in 2019 called Screamer, which I thought was a great album. The new song it's a little bit softer. If you've heard Third Eye Blind, it shouldn't be a surprise, but it is a little bit more of a builder that showcases Stephen Jenkins' lyrics and his voice and his ear for melody, which is cool. It builds up a little bit at the end into something cool. So I enjoyed that. The new song is going to be from a new album called Our Band Apart, which is going to be released on September the 24th. Did you listen to this song, Dave? What'd you think?
Yeah, man, you're right on the money. It's a little bit of a builder, and it's it's a showcase song. Artists need to do that every once in a while. They can't just write what everybody wants to hear. They got to write a little bit of what they want to put out there. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of what that song, like that, the vibe that I got from it was like. So it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's selfish, but it's a little self-serving, I think, as a writer. And I get it, you got to do those, but I personally don't like when people do those as singles. Like, I don't mind if I get an album and I got a couple good singles and a couple of those thrown in. But when you do lead singles like that, I feel like maybe they're one of those bands. He takes himself pretty seriously, and I don't know. I think that the song is a good song, not necessarily a good single on it. So yeah, it's not, to me, it wasn't a great single, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a great record. They have great catchy songs on almost all the records. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's a self-serving single, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm definitely going to check out the full thing when it's released.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, their last record, Screamer, was really good.
Top notch.
Had lots of great songs on it. The production was really cool. So I'm excited. I don't think it's a great choice for a single either. I would prefer to hear a great big rock single, which I know the record will probably have, I'm sure. But they also said that it was recorded in quarantine, so it's going to be different than some of their other records, and that was the whole thing. and that's fine
Sure.
too. So they can go in whatever direction they want, and I'll go with it. Like I've said on the show before, that I'm that guy that's a fan of those, those 90s bands that people consider to be one-hit wonders or 2 or 3 hit wonders. I'm always the guy saying there's so much more than those couple of songs that So Third Eye Blind is so much more than Semi-Charmed Life and
Sure.
How's It Gonna Be and all those songs. Like they have so many great songs, and they do. So I'm thinking they're still gonna have some more good ones in the hopper. So I was hoping this would be a little bit more rocky, and I was hoping that it would be a little bit more attention grabbing right off the bat, but still cool. It's very typical Third Eye Blind. They have a lot of acoustic kind of songs like that. So I wasn't surprised that they did something like that. It's just maybe wasn't a great choice to get everybody excited for the new record.
Sure, man. Yeah, I'm the same way. I nerd out over those old '90s one-hit wonders band. I was in a feed the other day talking to Tony from Fastball. So like I'm all about the old
Love Fastball.
like what? Oh yeah, me too, man. And so like I'm right up your alley when that's the case. Like I want to hear about what they're up to and what they're putting out. If I like 3 or 4 of your songs, I'm probably gonna like 20 of them. So
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
Songwriters.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so you can check out the new single from Third Eye Blind right now. It's called Bag of Bones.
Cool.
The record Our Band Apart comes out on September the 24th. We're going to get to one more opening act topic on this week's Rock Squad podcast, and that is Tim Commerford has released a new line of bass guitars right up Mr. Marini's alley right here, because he is the bass master himself. So the Rage Against the Machine bassist is releasing his own line of Ernie Ball Stingray bass guitars. Dave has also played some Stingrays in history.
Mhm.
It's going to be limited to 2,000 or 200 units worldwide at $3,000 a pop. Some of the bases are going to be passive, some will be active, some will have long headstocks, some will have some shorter headstocks or necks. So, Dave, I'm going to completely defer to you on this one because you're the bass man. What do you think of this?
Well, so some history about this. Originally, he was using Music Man basses when
On the first
Rage
Rage record.
started. Yeah, so he's been playing Ernie balls for a long time, and then he switched over. He's playing jazz basses for a while. Shout out to all my jazz bass players out there. But yeah, man, it's they came to him. I've been following this for a while. They came to him a couple of years ago when Rage started doing shows, and were like, "Have you thought about playing this new line of basses?" He was hesitant, but they kept pushing, and he asked for a couple. And then it turned out when he was doing the Prophets of Rage thing, he was pretty much using exclusively these new Ernie balls or Stingrays that they've been making. A little bit different than the older ones. I think they have 2 big humbuckers instead of the one humbucker. Like you said, I think they're like like the neck's a little longer on one. You know what I mean? I think he uses 4-string exclusively, so it should be a 4-string bass. $3,000 price tag's a little steep in my books for a signature bass. But I think they're getting away with it for the fact that they're not doing a mass production, that it's only 200. No one will ever fight the craftsmanship and the way that those guitars are built or those basses are built. Like they know what they're doing, and they're worth every penny that you pay for them. But it is a lot of money. This isn't a bass that your 9-year-old's gonna want for Christmas. You know what I mean? You may want it, but it's not the one that's under the tree.
Yeah.
So I think for people that are into Rage and people that have full-time jobs or rich adults that want to have that thing, or I'm sure they're going to be great guitars, so I'm sure they're going to sound great. So if you're just a bass player and you're looking for something tasty and new on the market, that might be where you go. For me personally, I'm going to stick to knockoff Stingrays and playing Fender jazz basses, but that doesn't mean that if one were to show up at my door, I wouldn't plug it in and have a fucking ball. So good for him. I hope they do maybe align with the Sterling series on Ernie Ball, which is like the step down from the Sting or the main Stingray. It's like their Epiphone to Gibson kind of series, which is always more cost efficient. I think like a normal Stingray is going for $1,500, and a Sterling would go for like $900 to $1,200 kind of thing. So if they can get it into that price point, or if they can do something even cheaper for mass production and sell it for the $899, $999 kind of thing, it would be great for everyone, and I would be more likely to pick it up than spending the 3K on the new Ernie Ball.
Yeah, in 20 years, I've never spent even remotely
Yeah.
close to that on an instrument. Maybe I should have by now, but it's
Nah.
would like, if you were gonna get one, would you get one with like the longer neck or the shorter neck? Because they had like a couple of different ones.
I would do right now if I were to ask for one.
Yeah.
I would definitely get an active one with the longest neck possible. That would be my, I've switched over to passive basses the last 10 years, and I could definitely use it in my arsenal for recording and things like that. But I don't know, 3K is a steep price tag to get something that, the active basses have come down quite a bit in the last 15 years. So, the 3K price tag is not up my alley. They have great electronics, they make great basses, but I think it's a little steep for your average everyday player. But hey, good on him. And it's a great company to be associated with. And I'm sure he'll do more over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the
Yeah.
new bass line from Ernie Ball,
Sure.
Tim Commerford. So those are our opening act topics for this week's Rock Squad podcast. Let's get to this week's headliner topic on the podcast, and that is ZZ Top have returned to the stage after the death of their bass player Dusty Hill. The rock will not stop for ZZ Top. You see what I did there? That was pretty good. Thanks, guys.
I love it. I love it.
I'm here all night. These guys returned to touring after the death of bass player Dusty Hill, who passed away last week at the age of 72, I believe. We talked about it on the show. Very sad because he had such an incredible career in music. But the band actually received Dusty's blessing to continue on with the tour because he had stepped off a couple of dates before he passed away, and his whole thing was like the show must go on. So Billy Gibbons and Frank Beard have continued their tour with guitar tech Elwood Francis filling in on bass. So, Dave, I don't know if there's been much of a debate about this online, because everybody's always like, well, if a member of a band passes away, they should mourn them for months and months and months, and if they should take some time off to do whatever, try to find somebody new or whatever. But I think with ZZ Top, we kind of talked about this on the show last week, is that these guys, they're road dogs. This is what they do. This is what they've done for 50 years. And it's their 50th anniversary tour. It's really unfortunate that Dusty passed away, but it just makes sense that these guys would keep going. These guys don't know anything else. And it's obvious that Dusty Hill was of that same mindset. These guys should keep going no matter what, if he passed away or not, that they should keep on going. So it's no surprise that they would just pick up the torch and keep rocking, because these guys have been doing it for 50 plus years, and it's no surprise to me.
I feel 100% the same way you do about this. I think it's awesome that he gave the blessing to move forward. And you're right, they're road dogs. Like these guys realize that it's just not them and their families. Like, they've probably got a crew of 15, 20 people that are out all the time, that are working with them, that, put things on, and it's been their family for 50 years probably. And they know, they're, like you said, they're road guys. It's how they live their life. Like, could you imagine you've been doing something for 50 years, being on the road 9 months out of the year, every year, and then, because a member passes away, that completely stops. And I think they were very aware of that, and I'm glad that he gave the blessing. Obviously, it won't be the same without Dusty Hill, but it allows the band to be a family and to move forward. It isn't like they just threw some random in. It's a guitar tech for the last 35 years that's moved into his place. So, the guy knows all the songs. He's part of the family. As long as there's a blessing, and as long as they're okay to keep going, I'm 100% behind it. This isn't a rogue member that has to be replaced or something. It's sad that he's died, but the guy's in his 70s or 80s. It's gonna happen. I'm sure they've talked about this in the past. They're all pretty old. So like, what would happen if something were to happen? That Frank Beard has been in some close calls over the life of that band. So they're lucky to even have the 3-piece for the 50 fucking years that they've been in a band. So the fact that he was considerate enough and humble enough to be like, you know what, guys, this is bigger than me. This is ZZ Top's a family. There's 20 of us involved. We've been on the road for 50 years. You got to keep it going. Like, I bet you he died happy knowing that his songs are going to be played for the next however many years in that environment, with that family, with that crew. So good on him for not being a dick. Good on ZZ Top for keeping it going. And here's to another 50 years.
Yeah, totally. What do you think would happen with a band like the Stones, though? If it was, what if Ron Wood passed away? If Ron Wood passed away, knock on wood, we don't want him to pass away for a very long time. But, or like Charlie, I'm not going to say Mick or Keith because I feel like they have to be there. Maybe they all have to be there. But what if Ron Wood passed away theoretically? Would the Stones keep going?
I think they would keep going. I think they would keep going with Ron.
Yeah.
I think Charlie, Mick, or Keith, Dunzo.
Yeah.
But Ron's like one of the, like, it's like he's,
I know,
he's
man, we're gonna get so killed because we're like Ron Wood. It feels like we're being
no. No, but it's it's like when their bass player died, or when, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. They've had so many people coming and going. Obviously, when Brian passed away, they kept going too, right? So man, I don't know.
In the 80s, they kept going too. So
exactly, right. So I think that those three guys are kind of the money in that band. Like, obviously, Ron, like, to me, Ronnie will always be part of the thing, but he already had a career with the Faces and Ron Stewart and all that shit. So I think, like, if he were to hit it, it would be kind of like, well, we'll fill the gap, just because, again, it's such an entity, like, it's such a big production and there's so many people involved. I think it would just be, like, and this is another thing. Is he a paid player, or is he like a member of the band? Like, how's that band split up? You know what I mean? He's probably not getting the same cut as Keith. So it's one of, you know what I mean? Like, is he a hired gun? That's just
so
exactly right. So as long as Charlie, Keith, and Mick are hanging out, I think that's going to keep going. Now, that being said, I don't think he would want it to end either. I think he's a road guy that's been on tour his whole life, and he knows how many people are involved and how hard it is to keep those things kind of going. The Stones are definitely bigger than him, I think. Until Keith and Mick kick the bucket, I think we're going to have Stones tours every 4 years, and at least they're not saying they're farewell tours anymore. Like, remember Kiss? Kiss has been on like 9 farewell tours.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hearing about Kiss being on a goddamn farewell tour. Like, take a break. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. Well, the show must go on, I suppose, in most instances, especially with these older bands as they're getting older. Keep it going as long as you can. Keep rocking.
Keep it going, man. Squeeze that sponge until you're tired of squeezing, man. There's no rules.
Totally. Well, that is our headliner topic for this week's Rock Squad podcast. Let us know what you thought of any of the topics on this week's show in the comments. We would love to have a discussion and create a community and talk about rock music with you guys. So definitely let us know what you thought of this week's Rock Squad podcast and the topics. But we're going to wrap up the show. Before we do that, we got to do our tracks of the week. Dave, my track of the week is from a band, or actually it's just a guy, but Mags, or Mags, is the name of a band. The guy's name is Elliot Douglas. But this band I've been discovering on Spotify, kind of an indie rock band. This song's called Wait, which is a brand new single. I think it came out last Friday. Very cool, sunny indie rock track. So that is my track of the week.
Cool, man. Yeah, I got kind of an odd one. I've been, summer vibes. I've been sitting outside a lot, and I've been listening to a lot of goofy music lately, like just silly.
Like goofy? You mean like the Disney's goofy?
Yeah. So I've been listening to like bands like the B-52s and stuff the last little bit. So I'm gonna go with the B-52s Love Shack, because what's better than that?
Oh, that's a great song. Love Shack.
Right? Like,
it's a killer song. What are you talking about? B-52s great stuff. Yeah, totally. All right. Well, that's it for the Rock Squad podcast. Check out our.
There we go. We're back. Sorry, it like shut off for a second and it came back.
Did you finish your thought?
Good. Yeah, no, I was done. Yeah. Sorry. I just didn't know if you could hear me or that I was still on.
All right. Those are our tracks of the week. And that is it for this week's Rock Squad podcast. As always, you can follow us online at Rock Squad Pod on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me at The Walking Nick. Where can the folks follow you, Dave?
You can follow me, Red Coast Records, at Instagram. You can follow me, Red Coast Records, on Facebook. You can follow us, foolsunion.com, for all of our music. Everything happening with our band. New single coming soon. Get ready for that. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Fuck, man. What a day. What a day we've had today. It was so good to see you.
You too. It was good to talk about rock. So we'll, of course, see everybody for another episode of the Rock Squad podcast next week. But in the meantime, rock on, Dave.
Rock on.
See you guys.